Hey, everybody, welcome to the Random Encounters Guild. My name is James. My pronouns are he, him. Tonight we're playing Blades in the Dark. Our kind GM, Jenna, has allowed me to be in the chair for a little bit. And also, as some of you forever GMs may know, it's nice to get in the player's chair once in a while. So let's just everybody go around. We'll kind of do a tag style. So, Jenna, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Jenna. I am one of the co-founders of Fem Gamer Party, which is another channel that I stream on, and I feel like I can consider myself a regular here on Random Encounters Guild. Tonight, I am going to be playing Volette Moonstone, the spider comrade, and I'm gonna pass it off to Lucas.
Um, I'm Lucas. I do a little bit of D&D for fun with friends. I'm not really a huge member of the Random Encounters, but I've been enjoying their Blades in the Dark content. And I'm playing Arvis Keel, who's a Whisper. I'm going to pass it down to, oh, well, it's down on a different screen, but I'm going to pass it over to Commander
Oh,
Dan.
hey, I am Dan, aka Commander Dan, longtime member of the Random Encounters Guild. Occasionally run a game of Star Trek Adventures or Pirate Borg. We'll be playing tonight in Blades of the Dark, which I am entirely new to, so expect a lot of questions and a lot of confusion from me. Um, but I will be playing the role of Marcus Colburn, a leech, in Blades of the Dark. And that tells you a little bit about me and my character.
Cool. Thank you, Dan. I have one of my little things as a GM is I have my so Blades of the Dark is largely a low prep game. The whole point is that you're supposed, as you guys have heard Jenna say ad nauseum, that like it's you can come in and improvise whatever you've got. However, I do, and I've gotten Scott also an unseen. We have Scott. Big shout out to Scott who's running the stream for us today, and also running our Sirenscape. So shout out to Sirenscape for our music. And I gave Scott some links. I have generated for myself my own little one-page prep sheet. This much is the game. The rest of this stuff is things that I am in danger of forgetting, that I'm in danger of forgetting throughout the game. Like it tells me what to put in my bag to pack when I go play in person and things like that. Did I bring my index cards and my pens and my dice and my whatever? Like, yes, I've forgotten my dice. So, um,
You
and
also
then
forgot
what
your
I've
chat.
right with Blades in the Dark, I shouldn't have to bring dice. Jenna's got a great point. Um, so um, I do want to you and what's funny is at the top of this page is when is our next game date, because I have Ryan, if you're watching, a player back in DC would snatch up his bag when he could hear us start to wind down, and when we're trying to schedule the next game he's like, all right, see you guys later, and I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. So let you guys know we've agreed in offline and Discord that we're going to get back together again here on March 11th. And to loosen everybody up, I like to play a little improv game that I got from a really great book that you can pick it up from Evil Hat, or if Scott's able to post that link, it's Improv for Gamers. And I'm going to teach you guys. This is something, it's not necessarily Blade specific, but it's a game called Three Things. And what
Can
happens
I
is
pause
I'm
here
going,
though because you didn't let Chad do his intro?
Nah,
I didn't let you. Oh,
Yeah,
burn. Thank you,
about
Jenna.
DMs
you
forgetting
can
dice.
you
Wow.
you can blame that on me. I did not hand it off to Chad, so that's
That's
my fault.
That's all right. Let's yeah, let's
Everybody
pause for
takes a
Chad.
straw.
Let's pause for Chad. Tell us about yourself, Chad.
I'm Chad. I guess I've been with the Random Encounters Guild for a year or so now. Uh, not new to the Blades in the Dark. I've played it a few times. New actually to streaming. I used to be one of the cast members on the Cult Shot podcast, if anyone remembers that. I'm playing Benny Carver Templeton, a cutter. Um, so it might be a bit of the old ultra violence tonight.
I'm here for it. Thank you, Chad, and thank you, Jenna. So yeah, so three things. Jenna, do you remember how to play three things, or do you want me to explain?
Um, I remember going three things, but
Yep.
I don't remember what the.
Um, So since we did the Dark Crystal game, I have been taking like a live action improv class here in Tucson, and they played three things, and the way they do it is a little different. So I'm going to ask someone to name three things. It'll be something, um, uh, something random, and that person will name one thing, and then we all say one, and then the person names a second thing, and we all say two, and then when they name the third thing, we say three things, and then that person will then pick someone else and say, hey, so and so, tell me three things that. And the one that I always like to start off with is I say, Chad, tell me three things you can buy in a convenience store. The goal is to be quick.
Beer, chips, and cigarettes.
Oh, well, three things.
Three things.
So
That was
Chad, give it. Chad, you pick the next person and you come up with a question.
Oh, that's Jenna.
Yeah,
What are
this is the hard part.
Jenna? What are three types of books in a bookstore?
Fantasy,
One,
cookbooks,
two,
biographies.
three things.
Dan, what are three animals that live in the ocean?
Oh my god. Okay. Dolphins,
One.
sharks,
Two,
and whales.
Three.
three
Three
things.
things. All right, Dan, we're gonna have to teach you how to pass it off.
Yep. You are. Yeah. So, and I'm passing off to
To Lucas.
Lucas.
And you give him a
Lucas, what are three things you can find in the vastness of space?
Planets, moons, and debris.
Three things.
Debris. I love it.
Debris. That's great. And yeah, so that serves as a function to kind of throw some solid punches in the face and break the nose of your inner critic and censor to just kind of get some things out. And sometimes I will play like 2 rounds or whatever. We did a round of Yes Character before coming online. So thanks, guys. And then the next thing that's on my list is CATS, concept, aim, tone, and safety. So you guys know a little bit about Blades in the Dark. It's heists. You're in a haunted Victorian city surrounded by walls of lightning powered by demon blood. It's always nighttime. The sun has been like splintered into a bunch of different pieces. The weather's always miserable. There's canals and gondolas going through the city. There are no horses. Things are drawn by goats. It's bleak. Does anybody have any? Did I miss anything? Does anybody have anything to add to the concept?
The doors to the land of the dead are open. Were forced open by the cataclysm, so the idea of wandering spirits is not an uncommon thing.
Love it. Thank you,
rock and roll,
Lucas.
man. It's the city of vices.
Yeah, vices. Thank you, Jenna. Which is a very important part of the game.
It is every dystopian Victorian steampunk set rolled into one.
Yep. Dystopian is a good point, Chad. Thank you. Dan, is there anything that that stuck out to you in particular, or that you're looking forward to?
That I'm looking forward to. I don't know. I'm not sure I know enough about that. I know there's a lot of criminal activity, a lot of heist, and that's intrigues me. In terms of just what our goal is going to be. What are we going after? What are we going to find? You know, what are in terms of my character for sure, you know, how is it going to benefit me? Because that's
Great.
really about all Marcus cares about.
Thank you, Dan. All right, so the A in CATS is for aim. Top of my list is to have fun. I'll start with you, Chad. Is there anything you want to get out of this game, or you want to see happen and want to get out of the story as a player or as a character?
Nah, not specifically. I kind of like to see what happens and react to it as it comes along.
See what
rather than kind of go for something specific. I kind of like to see how things play out.
Yep, and that you brought up a really good tenet from Blades in the Dark is play to find out, see what happens. Jenna, anything on your list?
We we've done some spooky things, and we've done some scores that were a little bit more clandestine, but I wouldn't mind if we had a little bit more of a social, meeting more NPCs and getting more involved in the city that way, like more involved with factions or whatever, which we haven't gotten as much chance to do so far, and I think that's a really cool part of Blades. So,
Great.
I'm
Yeah.
also down to clown. I'm like super here for any shenanigans, but it would be cool if we come away with like more character hooks.
Or shenanigans.
I mean,
Great. Dan, anything on your list for the AIM portion?
No, I'm just here. As I mentioned earlier, I'm new to this game entirely, so I'm just looking to see what happens. To be
Okay.
perfectly honest.
Lucas.
I mean, I feel like we've heard this at least twice already, but I just want to see where the story goes and be part of
Yep.
it.
I love it. Yeah, concept
I'm
name
here to be
Tone.
hurt. I want
Right.
stress and devil's bargains and nonsense.
Oh,
Oh,
you will.
I want all the little tidbits and fun bits that are in there. As a side note, I guess I wouldn't mind seeing us plan to go in guns blazing, and then go in guns blazing rather than saying we're going to go in deception and then go in guns blazing.
Yes.
That is fair and valid.
Um,
You have just described every Blaze in the Dark
Yeah.
score.
And by bringing bringing Carver, aka Benny Templeton, into the gig, somebody's gonna bleed when you bring Benny Templeton on the gig.
I'll say this: Marcus, as a leech and a saboteur, who kind of loves chaos. I mean, if they go south, then he has to, just cause chaos to get out of the situation. Takes a certain amount of joy in that. So,
All right,
I will-
chaos,
I will
got it
say-
down.
At this point, then, one thing probably to note is that our crew is called the Carrion Crew, and we are smugglers. And every crew kind of has a reputation. Some people have reputations for being, discreet. Our reputation is strange. We tend to be really like haunted and ghost focused, and half of this crew is addicted to a ghost cocaine called Vacuum, and we have smuggled a lot of Vacuum. So we're weird and we're not quiet, and everybody knows that. So
I didn't realize Not Quiet was on there, but I think that's by default. All right, so Tone, it is a dark and spooky kind of game. There's some oil lamps, gaslight kind of situation, and there's also this sort of electroplasm, pale electric lights. From the previous games, the gang has gone occult. There's clearly, Jenna said, down to clown. I wrote some silliness. Anything tone-wise you guys want to invoke or is high on your list?
I think pretty much everything that I would invoke is pretty much wrapped into the setting anyway.
Great.
I do have a weakness for the sort of hard scrabble, kind of grim and gritty settings. So,
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just sneak in. I'll just scooch right into safety. Jenna offline put together a really nice list of a really nice consent form on Google. And so I have here to clarify, in this game, there's not going to be any rape, racism, homophobia, violence against children, which includes miscarriage, abortions. There's not going to be any. I love not having PC on PC romance, just taking it off the table. So that means we're not going to have any love scenes or any of that on screen. We're not going to have any harm to animals.
does Dan count as an animal?
I mean, if you're going to abuse Dan, there's going to be plenty of people to abuse. So since I've put that out there, does anyone have any triggers or phobias that you want to bring up now, or did I cover it all?
Not for me.
Okay,
I'm good.
We've opted to our version of the X card is over here on the on Discord. We're just going to send private message to each other. So that's kind of how we're private session message to me. So if anyone suddenly realizes like a clown comes on screen, it's like, oh my God, I'm terrified of clowns and I had no idea. That's when folks will send me a message. So who for Dan? Oh, and I'm going to invoke a sort of inspiration mechanic. It's something that I like to do in a lot of games. So if anybody has, I didn't tell you guys ahead of time, if anybody has a token or a counter near their person to kind of remember, when I give it to you, it's for things like engaging with the setting or particularly cool role-playing moments. I might say like, I don't take a point of inspiration or meta currency, and that'll just give you a free dice. It's called a gambit in Scum and Villainy. There's really no mechanic for that in Blades in the Dark, but I like to. There's a shout out to Jenny D. She's got a great video on rewarding great behavior. So in whether it's you want your players to bring snacks or do great RP or show up on time or put their cell phone in the bucket, she hands out bennies for stuff like that. So who's gonna help? So on the rules situation, who's gonna tell Dan the base mechanic for the game? Somebody besides Jenna.
I do.
Would that be actions?
Real quick though, just want to say that on your character sheets, the bottom right, there's a section for like notes. You can just write whatever kind of notes you want. So that would be a good spot to put your gambit tokens if you don't have anything else.
Thank you,
And
Jenna.
now I'm going to sit back and let somebody else talk.
Lucas, Chad, what do you remember about the basic mechanic? When you want to do something, what do you do?
Well,
It's an
essentially
action.
you have an action roll. You pick your appropriate skill, roll a d6 and any bonus or penalty dice, and you're looking for 4, 5s, and 6s. 6s are success with no consequences. 4s and 5s are success, but there are consequences, and 1 through 3, I believe, are failures. If I'm remembering correctly.
Our failures.
Yes, failures and consequences. It's not a pass fail
Yes.
system by any stretch.
For a 1, 2, or 3.
Or 1, 2, or
Yeah.
3. The other note is the number of dice you roll is the number of horizontal dots in that action. So, as an example, for me, as a whisper, I automatically have 2 points in attune. So, if I'm connecting with the spirit realm, I'm rolling 2 dice. One other thing he didn't mention is if you roll 2 6s, it's a crit success.
Okay, cool.
I think
And-
canonically 2 1s is not necessarily a crit failure, but like, come on. It is. You're boned. You just die.
Go
On
ahead,
the-
Lucas.
I was just going to say, on the same side of actions, are we talking about save throws or hold those off?
You're
for
talking
now?
about resistance. Yeah, so
Resistance.
let's say you roll a 4, so you a 4 or 5 is your highest of the die result, and is the highest die that you roll. And I say, great, you managed to sneak your blade in and wound the gondolier, but the gondolier manages to shove you in the water. And you don't like that? What do you do, Lucas?
You can roll for I'm sorry, I keep forgetting the R word for it.
Yep.
Is it resistance? Resistance. And you basically choose one of your 3 like action categories. So insight, prowess, or resolve. And you're looking at that first column. That's the number of dice you're going to be rolling for it. And you're rolling to try to resist that consequence.
Okay.
So you can say, like, if you were somebody better than me for prowess, because I have no points in prowess, but if they were pushing, for example, I think leeches, you might be able to survive being pushed a little bit in the water. you rolled and you got a 4, 5, or 6, you may be able to cling on and stay on the boat and not be in the drink.
And that's what's great about Blades in the Dark is there is that kind of valve that the GM gets to decide, does a resistance roll totally negate the consequence, whether it's a desperate, risky, or controlled roll, or does it only lessen it and mitigate it only slightly, or somewhere in the middle? We'll start somewhere in the middle, and we'll see if we need to kind of turn up the heat on you guys. We can have a check-in after today's game and see how that goes. So yeah. So that being said, Dan, if there's anything that I say and you don't like it, you say I resist, and you automatically resist. Is just a matter of how much stress you pay. You will roll you will roll the attribute in question and take the highest die result. It's 6 minus the highest die. So if you roll a 6 somewhere in that pile, you don't suffer any stress and you have narrative control, and that awful embarrassing thing that happened to you when the tiny little gondolier shoved you in the water does not ever happen. Never
I
happen.
got you.
Great. So, and we'll talk a little bit about, Chad, do you remember how to add dice? If you only have one dice and one die and you want more?
Well, you can. There's a couple of situations that you can. In certain situations, you can push yourself, if I'm remembering correctly, which means you add a die to your roll, but at the cost of stress potentially or injury. You can take I believe you can also take a devil's bargain, which is to say, you get additional a chance to succeed, but the GM gets to come up with some rather nasty consequences for it.
Yes, devil's bargain automatically happens whether you pass or fail, but you do get that extra die. And yeah, pushing yourself is 2 stress. If someone helps you, they spend a stress and give you a die. And then yeah, and then we've also got our little token when I love something that you do. That also being said, you can push yourself not just for an extra die, but if something happens and I tell you limited effect, but you want standard or great effect, if you want standard effect, you can push yourself after the result of the roll and say, I want better effect. So you've always got that option. So I'll make it a point to go with that on you guys, and make sure that I remind you guys. So I will probably ask every roll, do you want to push yourself, take a devil's bargain, get help from a friend? So we got to pick a heist. So as Jenna mentioned offline before we got here, that we can go after our reputation. She's also got the heist deck. We've got tables in the book. There's also this groovy little thing. If you guys can look in your Roll20 and look at the crew sheet, there's this groovy little map, and in the center it says your layer, and then there are these little points, the luxury fence. There's turf in adjacent squares. If there's something that you like that you want to theme a heist based on that, there are lots and lots of options. So is there something that you guys have in mind? We talked about a little bit of a social situation. There's probably going to be some fisticuffs, but do you guys want to try and negotiate your way to some kind of special crew advance? Or do I just come after you with some people that you ticked off?
We do have. I know that I sent this to you earlier, but just for the sake of saying it on stream, I guess there are a couple loose ends that we have that we need to tie up. One is our crew. For some reason, strange thing when you deal in ghost cocaine and some of the people in your crew have cocaine vices. You don't have as much ghost cocaine as you did before. Interesting. So we might need to get more of that. We also have a very expensive bottle of wine that we stole at some point and have no luxury fence. We have no one who has any way of getting that to a buyer who will actually buy it. Luxury fence is one of the things close to our lair, so we could do that and get ourselves some good coin if we get a new luxury fence. That's also an option. So those are two kind of things related to right here. There's other stuff going on with other members of the crew that haven't been resolved yet from the Valentine's Day score. So we're gonna that's kind of like on pause happening at the same time. So those things are not real for us at the moment.
I like the idea of this kind of being a meanwhile sort of score, like while the other folks are dealing with their heart smuggling, that this is something that's kind of happening to get the crew a little bit more money and prestige and rep in the background. So yeah. What do you guys think? Lucas, Chad, Dan, anything jump out at you? Narrow it down to two of those?
I think the wine is a good. I think Benny to move the wine, as that actually came from the first heist, if I remember. It was one of the random bits of loot we grabbed as we were running for our lives from the rampaging ghost.
Yeah, I was thinking as a connoisseur of rums, the wine interests me. Yeah.
Well, and being near Valentine's Day, we might be able to get a pretty bit of coin for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the thing to remember again about Duskfall, because there is, I don't know how much background we went into, but in this game, the sun shattered, or the moon shattered like 100 years ago or something like that. And that's when like spirits started coming back. But that's kind of what's blocking the sun. So there really isn't sun. It's kind of dark all the time, which means trees and vines and plants that need a lot of sunlight, like grapes, are really difficult. So when you have a vintage bottle of wine in the real world, it's expensive. But when you have a vintage bottle of wine in a world that cannot grow grapes, it's expensive. So we need we need a high-end fence in order to move this wine that we kind of haplessly stole while we were trying to get drugs.
Okay. I love it. So one thing I want to mention, that Blades in the Dark is really heavy on the flashbacks. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and make the engagement roll. And we're gonna make the one thing that we have not really talked about is time of year. Jenna, have you guys like kind of settled on like what time of year it is in Duskfall
It's Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day. Okay,
because
so
this meanwhile is happening during the Valentine's score.
Okay, so
which means that wine would be in high demand this time of year, right?
Okay, so in Duskfall, we decided, this is not canon to the book, this is canon to our game, that Valentine's Day is a day that celebrates when Duskfall's worst and most hated governor got his heart ripped out by the demon Valentine. And on Valentine's Day, you give anatomically correct chocolate hearts to people you hate as a threat.
That's fantastic.
The city treats it a little bit like Mardi Gras and a little bit like the Purge. It's not a sanctioned purge, but it happens sometimes.
All right.
I sort of feel like we should bring this tradition into the real world. The anatomical heart, not so much the purge part.
I thought it would be cute. So think about it like if Mardi Gras was happening in a haunted steampunk Venice. That's Valentine's Day, and there's lots of rowdiness and fighting.
That's an excellent summary right there. Yeah.
I love it. So, and one thing I want you guys to just take a moment to do either now or at some point is on your character sheet, there are things called XP triggers. So I'm going to look at Dan's real quick. Marcus Kohlberg, and let me see, where is it down here?
XP
it's
trigger.
Mark XP. It says Mark XP, and there are these. So each one has, so every time you roll a desperate action, and when I tell you it's desperate, and I'll need someone to kind of help remind me, like Mark XP in that act. If you ever make a desperate rec roll, for example, Dan, you're going to mark an XP in prowess. And then at the end of the session, we'll talk about for your particular playbook. When you address a challenge with technical skill or mayhem, you'll mark an XP at the end. drives, heritage, background. Those are important things. So they're not just throwaway decisions that you guys made. Those will get you extra XP at the end of the session. And then vices or traumas will get you anything that any way you get into trouble through your vice or traumas during the course of play. Your players will advocate for you and say, yeah, that makes sense. You can get an XP for that at the end of the session. That's a discussion we have. It's not a GM awards XP at certain times. We all have a little confab at the end for that. Great. The Demon Valentine. So so just remember that in terms of, and then the crew. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put my thumb on the scale a little bit. The crew gets to mark XP when you guys execute a successful smuggling or require new clients or contraband sources. And then the other three are contend with challenges above your current station, bolster your crew's reputation, or develop a new one. And then there's express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew. That's a question for Jenna. Did you guys decide, is there anything that I need to know about goals, drives, essential nature of the crew?
We don't have any specific goal. We don't, as a crew, have specific goals. The individual crew members tend towards having occult kind of goals, and there are a number of crew members who are very focused on vacuum, studying it, or using it. So spooky nonsense tends to be our essential nature.
Gotcha. And I did see the reputation is strange, but I am going to write spooky nonsense. Now, this wine is independent of the vacuum. So we're going to start an engagement roll. You're going to automatically get a D6 for luck. Does anybody have anything? Do you have a crew contact, or does anybody have a contact on their sheet, a person on their sheet that you think may help you gain a buyer for this wine?
Yes.
Okay, who is that?
We didn't gather information on this one, which is probably fine. But
We're going to do it in a flashback.
Okay, just letting you know. On the crew sheet, we have a dock worker friend, Ellen, and she has given us a lot of helpful hints and stuff before. So, in whatever flashback, I'll probably, because this is like my spider thing, I'm going to go consort with her to find out if she knows, like, hey, any other shipments of high-end stuff coming in, where are they going to? Who's overlooking that? So we'll have a friend on the inside on that one.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Dan, Chad, Lucas, do you have any other assets or contacts that are going for you?
Well, Benny has a physiker who helps patch up his wounds, and he has passed various hard-to-get medicines and tinctures and such too in the past, as she is during the day a respected medical professional. She may be able to, she may know someone that might be interested in such.
Okay. All right. I'll buy it. And it doesn't have to be a person. It could be like any kind of asset for the crew. Lucas or...
I don't think my contacts or the people I'm aware of are going to be of assistance for this particular thing.
It
All
could
right.
be haunted one. You don't know.
I mean, the
Wasn't
last
before,
time
it
I
might
went,
be.
the last time I went to Flint for help, chaos ensued.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, Marcus, the things I've dealt with in smuggling in the past is not really related to. Yeah, it's been, maybe drugs, but weapons, things of that nature. Other, probably not. Yeah, wine or anything like that. So
you've been out of the game a little too long.
perhaps, yeah.
Okay, so and what I'm going to do, and since this is happening on Valentine's Day, and there's a lot of chaos going on elsewhere in town, it's going to be a little harder for you to navigate a nuanced deal. So I'm going to take. So we'll say there's three dice for the engagement roll. We'll take one of those off for it being Demon Valentine's Day. Who would like to roll 2d6 in the... Jenna, you have your hand coming up?
Sorry, I just realized that I was muted. I started trying to talk. My special ability as a spider is that when I use consort to gather information, I get a +1 die on the engagement roll. It's called weaving the web.
All right. So your task is to gather information in a flashback once we're in the score, but I will give you that. You got to give me a consort roll later.
Yep, and I already said I would. I know I'm talking to our dock worker. I'm on it.
So bumping us up to 6. So tell us about what it for Dan and anyone else who's curious. Tell us about a spider. What does a spider do?
Sure. A spider is a devious mastermind. So spiders tend to be the ones who, if plans were a thing in this game, would be the planners. They are the problem solvers. They can sometimes be the faces, the talkers, the distraction. So yes, she's not a liar, but she is very persuasive. Is Volette Moonstone, which some people know as Looney Mooney.
Looney Mooney. I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
That's
Great.
my alias.
So, who is going to volunteer to roll 3d6?
I think we throw it on Dan since he's the new guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how to do that in roll 20?
It's been a minute, but maybe I do. Roll 3d6.
Yes, please.
Let's see if I typed it in right. Here we go.
Yeah, and now you can. And can you see which one's the highest?
I can. 4 is the highest.
Great. So that means that the first roll of the heist is going to be risky. Right there in the middle. That's fine. That's just to keep us from having to make the. So let's say that you're in unless anyone has an idea of where you want to start, you are waiting around a table in a secret. So in I don't want to say secret, but in a very uncelebrated and unrenowned tavern in a basement of some building where people go to not celebrate Valentine's Day. You're in the like the restaurant that somehow is still open on Valentine's Day when nobody wants to celebrate, and you're just kind of sitting around. Tell me, Marcus, what is your drink of choice, and are you having it now? What are you doing in this table?
My drink of choice is a dark rum from the Dagger Isles.
A dark rum.
Yeah, triple shot, straight, neat.
And tell us what Marcus looks like.
Marcus has a long coat, a tricorn hat. He's got dark brown facial hair, not unlike what I have. And yeah, with that dark coat, collar flipped up, just sort of hiding a lot of his face between the hat and the coat and the collar.
What's the scariest you've seen out on the Void Sea?
The scariest that I've seen out on the Void Sea.
Yeah, what's the scariest thing you've ever seen when you were sailing on the Void Sea?
Have we explained the Void Sea to you?
No, you have not.
Leave it. Let's see what Dan says.
The scariest I have seen on the Void Sea is a greenish, like lightning, just striking the ocean and just illuminating the ocean and the bioluminescence underneath.
Wow. Yeah. So, which also adds to me a twist to the blue crackle of the spectral lightning, which, by the way, this time of year is, bitterly cold. There's some the snow has kind of been sort of swept a little bit off of the sidewalks, and it's also the lowest point before Leviathan hunting season begins again, which is to say that everyone is conserving electroplasm because they need to keep the walls up, because the wall starts to get a little weaker before they can get the Leviathan blood to power the walls. So every once in a while, a spirit or a demon from the Deadlands Beyond. Are they called the Deadlands, Jenna? What are they called?
Mhm.
The
The
Deadlands. So Deadlands Beyond. There's some of the blue coats have been recruited by some of the Sparkrights to kind of just keep an eye out on stuff. There might be somebody that gets through, but that means that all of the lamps and all of the electricity, everybody's in maximum conservation mode. So there's a lot of candle lighting and a lot of oil lighting, but they're still just trying really hard to conserve. So you're having to strain your eyes and squint. Chad, tell us what. Well, actually, I'm going to ask Jenna. So Valette, do you guys have, when you go to this? They know you there. They at least know you, or you know them. You know exactly where to sit. Tell us about this table you're sitting at.
Absolutely. So when we go to this place, we usually have a corner seat in the back. There's not really like separated booths, but we sort of have an area that's more by the kitchen that other people don't like go straight for when they come in. So that tends to be the place that we sit in. We don't always come here as a group, but I do come here sometimes with my family, so they at least know me.
Gotcha. So they do. So all right. So you say they do know your family here. I like this. All right. So Chad, Marcus, you've heard. No, not Marcus. Carver. What's your real first name? Benny. Benny. Tell us what you're doing. You're sitting here at the table with the rest of your crew. What are you doing? And tell us what you look like. Give us a mental picture.
So Benny is kicked back. He's got his set of heavy, worn leather boots propped up on the table, and he is consuming a mug of a drink called Leviathan's Blood. Mix of Leviathan Hunter's Grog and a really, really rich, sweet port wine that gives it the look of dark purple arterial blood. Benny is a mountain of a man. He's well over 6 feet tall. He's covered in tattoos and scars of various strange symbols and nautical references. He's wearing a heavily worn leather and canvas jacket that has been patched multiple times, including with small pieces of Leviathan skin. As once upon a time, he spent a score of years out on the Void Sea hunting Leviathans.
So you have seen. How much of a Leviathan have you actually seen?
Well, nobody's ever seen an entire Leviathan, I don't think. They're massive beasts, and where they awake, they'd probably swallow the ship whole. You take them a piece at a time. I did once see a huge eye open, big as the ship. It looked right at me and it knew. That's when I decided land might be a better place to be.
Do you believe, from your experience, that the Leviathans choose to surface and allow themselves to be drained?
Leviathans, I think they're asleep. I think they drift, half awake, half in this world, half in the next. And if they were to awake and pay attention to us, none of us would make it back.
Wow. Okay. So, what is your vice?
Benny's vice is pleasure. Given that in Duskval, if once you die, they try to burn your soul to ash to keep it from coming back. He figures anything, the whole point of life is to enjoy it before it's gone.
And just we're talking physical pleasure, drink, drugs, massage.
Pure hedonism.
Hedonism. All right.
Whatever strikes his fancy at the time he's coming back.
And on that subject of the bell of what happens when you die. What is eerie about Valentine's Day in Duskfall is that it's like the bells from what is it called, Bellwether Tower, that announce someone's passing, and the departure of the bellwether crows like skittering into the night. It's like it never stops. There's just you hear the crows in one part of town, and just when you think they've subsided, they start up somewhere else to let the spirit wardens know where to find the next dead person so that they can dispose of the body properly so it doesn't cross over. So Arvis Keel, what is to you the most fearsome part of this holiday? Why does this holiday give you chills?
Well, personally, my character is already Arvis is already feeling the chills because he still hasn't taken care of an issue when a recently encountered ghost walked through him, and he can feel it deep within his bones. So not only is the night air cold, but he fears cold even in a warm tavern. And the reason why this holiday, if you can call it that, is more than just unnerving is because of there's only so many spirit wardens. And just as we know that the lightning walls keep ghosts out, it also keeps the spirits in. So anyone that they fail to get is now trapped inside the walls with us.
Very true. And we need to remember that Duskfall is haunted. It's not like ghosts are rare. So you occasionally think you might see a flicker of ghostly light across the street and up the stairs, but you've just grown accustomed to it. Everyone in Duskfall has the ability to attune, and when the veil became damaged in the cataclysm, everyone's sense of the spectral field, of the ghost field, awakened a little bit. So, Arvis, what are you doing while everyone's sitting around this table? Marcus enjoying his dark spiced rum.
Really just looking around, checking out the joint. I mean, sort of looking to see who's sitting where, how many people are there, where the closest exits are. Just evaluating the whole situation in that regard. And especially once again, kind of to come back to the character, because Marcus has dealt with some situations where things have gone south, more than one, we'll say. So he's already looking as to what, if any deal that we try to make here goes south, where we may need to go to get out, or just to make a quick and fast escape.
So they bring you out. The kitchen brings you out some food, some lovely food, and clearly they know Follette and this very tall and large woman with a pockmarked face and what looks like a gown makeshift into an apron, like
You
brings
are not.
something out and says and tells and sends compliments from the kitchen. And then a very tiny rat-faced man with tiny spectacles over his eyes, like casually looks back at you, and then scooches his chair. His back is to your table, but scooches his table back to you and says, "I'm told you have some fine spirits you're looking to offload."
Oh, interesting. What kind of people do you spend your time with that they have such loose lips?
Let's say my friends are looking.
Everyone's looking.
Yes, but does everyone have the money? We're talking about serious coin for aged alcohol.
And you are?
Ah, my name is Trent,
Trick.
and that's Trent is all you need to know. I represent some very esteemed officials who must be hiding tonight. As you know very well, there are folks out there who are looking for blood, if you understand. So I am willing to give you a delivery point, but I must know how good you are if you can get it there.
Well, if you must know, we are taking time out of our very extremely busy schedules of also being ones looking for blood in order to be here. So, one, I'm going to need you to cut the bullshit because if you didn't think we could do it, you would not even have shown up. And two, I'm going to need you to cut to the chase. I'm a busy woman, and I have things to do tonight.
Ah, yes. Volette gets the things done. I understand. Yes, there's little murmurs. Loony Mooney doesn't have time for pleasantries. Very well. So,
I didn't actually have a chance to describe what Mooney looks like. She's very young. She's probably only 18 or 19. She looks Slavic. Dark curly brown hair, dark eyes, kind of short and a little bit stocky, but like kind of strange that she's running in a crew with a lot of like older men. And she's got sort of exactly what you would think of in that like American Tail, like steamboat, white shirt, suspenders, and like the like Newsies hat, like that kind of quintessential look. Like she looks like just some kid. She's also drinking basically a Guinness, like a very dark beer.
You look entirely too innocent and naive to be sitting with a crew like this.
But if you
What
look
makes
at
it
it
all the more
closely, she's
frightening?
got all the coal dust under her fingernails that you can't ever get out.
well, no one makes a reputation at such a young age without being a little brazen. So, tell you what. There's a there's a small grotto leading to the canal directly beneath this establishment. And you can get there through the kitchen, as I'm sure you're aware. I'll have a gondolier waiting for you there. And then he produces a small metal scarab, a small scarab, and offers it to you and says, "This you will present at the destination when the gondolier takes you to the buyer."
I will take it, and I would like to do my flashback now, please.
I'm ready.
Okay,
You planned for this.
I did. I am sitting probably in Ellen's, like, dock, magistrate's office, whatever it's called, the customs building, basically. And on my sheet that I don't need load for, I have a fine bottle of whiskey on me always. So Ellen and I are drinking to the good old days, Nastrovia, knocking them back. And you've done much for us, and I appreciate it. But if I'm being honest, I think we need more help. We've got these frivolous things that Benny and the Hawk brought back last time. I don't know what to do with them. They're not any of our normal. I don't know where to take them. If you have any ideas who around here buys, sells, barters, that sort of thing, as I'm like pouring more fine whiskey for her.
Who is this you're talking to?
Ellen, our dock worker friend.
Gotcha.
So she's my
Okay.
contact.
So what's your angle here? What's the intention?
Ellen and I trade favor for favor. I know that right now our crew, as we speak, is doing a favor for her, the Valentine's score that's happening right now. So this is me going, and in return, I need some information about someone who might be interested or even capable of fencing this expensive frivolity that we have. She doesn't actually like come out and say exactly what it is, just that there's something nice. But I don't know these people. Honestly, I'm not good at talking to them. If there's someone you know, if you could just tell me what to look out for, really.
So is
I
this
assume she gives me this rat-faced man's contact, but what I'm asking her right now, is there any other information about him or the people that he works with that I need to know about before we start?
Yes. So what you know about him is that he's sort of like a secret keeper, and also like a secret squisher, and like a rumor starter, and also he's like a, for lack of a better word, he's like a spin doctor. His job is to like is to lead people off the trail, and there are rumors of him working with the captain of the Bluecoats, with what's the name of the, with the Leviathan hunter family, and also
I think in our game they're the Stevensons, I think.
all right, the Stevensons. Yeah, good. So yeah, so he's sort of this like gossip manipulator for hire. Like that's sort of his job, is like good and bad PR.
I rolled 2 3s for that consort. So it seems to me the problem is that Ellen can't tell me the difference between what rumors are true about him and what rumors are the spin that he has put on.
Yes, he does spend, as any good PR rep would, he spends a certain amount of time every day on his own PR. So, but I'm willing, as a gather information, I'm willing to let that be kind of a fortune roll. So that'll be like your little piece of the puzzle. However, that does let you know that he's very connected to, he does have like a lot of money. And in fact, what metal would this little scarab pendant be made out of, to let you know that he's really backing it up?
I'm willing to let someone else answer that. I don't know much about metals personally.
Oh yeah, who knows something about metals? Give me some darkness metal.
With
I was about to say gold press latinum. No, sorry, that's the wrong universe.
Titanium.
gold body with sapphire eyes and black bronze wings.
Oh,
I like it. Black bronze wings. Very cool. Great. So yeah, so that's your flashback. She gives you this information. She says he is not to be trusted. Half of what he says or more comes out of his mouth is a lie. Everything is for his own gain. He's always playing one side against the other, which to you, you're kind of like, well, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's great.
So then going forward, I give to you as a gift, my dear GM, If ever you or anybody else, I guess, has a rumor about him or his crew or his faction, you can tell me, and Valette will have heard it and will probably believe that one might be true because I failed the roll to figure it out. So there's your little treat.
That's great, but they gave you the extra die. So
Yes. Which
with
is
that,
what-
when he gives you the scarab, and as you look down at it, I don't know if the rest of you gentlemen notice, but like he just very casually like sort of saunters out the door, but he flips up his collar, pulls his hat on tight over his, we'll say he has like this bald head, pulls his hat tight over his head and steps out into the snow. And as the door opens, you hear like all the celebrating going on outside. It's like nuts out there. It's like shoulder to shoulder. It's like you said, it's Mardi Gras in Duskwall.
Why do I picture him as looking like the Gestapo agent from Indiana Jones and the Ark,
Perfect.
the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, Benny
Well,
will.
Benny, you seem to have gotten us into this mess of frivolities, so here, you can hold this nonsense trinket. And she hands the scarab over to Benny.
Marcus is inclined to, kind of new to this group, to ask, is anybody interested in this bottle or not?
Yeah. Hey,
What do you mean interested in the bottle?
you don't have
As
the
in
coin to
consuming
drink
it ourselves, I think is
Yeah.
what he's implying.
Oh, Volette has fully threatened you. This is worth far too much money. Don't open it. I'll kill you myself.
Benny
Because, yeah,
flips
it's-
Benny
well, it's
sticks
not-
the scarab in the air and tucks it into a pocket. There are a lot more than you can buy with the gold from it than the bottle itself.
Marcus is, yeah, that's fair.
Can I kind of interject? Upon noticing it's a scarab, can I flash back to studying about creatures that represent spiritual attributes?
Yes.
Because scarabs do have a connection to things like death and the other world.
Okay.
And so the trinket might make me remember something that it might have other meanings than being a nice piece.
I'm going to give you that flashback for free if you make an action roll. And we'll decide if it's going to be a
Okay.
setup roll to add effect or if it's going to be something that you know. Tell me what skill you want to use.
I'm going to be using study, which I have 2 points in.
Okay. I'm going to call it risky. And it's just going to be like a standard pass fail. Standard is all you need unless you want like something juicy, unless you want something juicy. Do you want to spend stress to give yourself a die? Can you justify someone else spending a die and giving you help? Do you want to take a devil's bargain or push yourself for greater effect?
I'm going to push
Okay.
myself to try to get I'm going to push myself for an extra die.
All right, spend 2 stress. Let me know let's see. Are you rolling in person or are you rolling on Roll20?
I would be rolling on D20. What do you mean roll 2 stress?
Spend 2 stress. You have stress. You have a stress tracker on your sheet, and it costs you 2 stress.
Yes, I'm just add 2 stress.
Got it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Spend, add.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, I have a
Okay.
4, basically.
All right. And so it's kind of hard to study with all those ghostly chills. And you spent a whole lot of you spent a whole lot of time and stayed up pretty late, and it kind of burned you a little bit. Do you want to decide what's your angle? You want to know what the scarab does, or do you want to decide?
I want to know if the sapphire inlays to the eyes and the special coloring for the bronze wings and things of that nature have a connection to a certain group in the city, or a spiritual cult.
Yes, they do.
A cult in Dustfall? I
Could
don't
it be
think so.
Could it be a cult? I don't want
I
to
don't
give you.
think there are cults.
I don't
in
want to give you the
Dustfall.
big. I don't want to give you the big nasty tier 4 cult. We're gonna have like a little tier 2 cult, and we're gonna give them a name. Chad, give me a color.
Red or crimson.
Crimson.
Oh.
Dan, dare I do this? Name
Try.
a body part.
Pinky finger.
It's the Order of the Crimson Claw.
Okay, that sounds way better. I was like, crimson pinky doesn't work. Pink and crimson are not the same.
I mean, like the moment I tell them the table that I think that's from the Crimson Pinky Finger, I think they're all going to be like, "Okay, go back to drinking whatever you're drinking over there."
What are you all doing? Why aren't you sharing?
You do know that yes, that the
We
scarab
told
is
you
a
before,
very.
we don't want to know about your crimson pinky fingers, okay? You keep that to yourself.
But that's
I mean,
about.
it wouldn't have
Go ahead.
gotten any better. The second thing that popped in my head was elbow. So
That's the one thing that you. That's the only thing that you know is that the. The scarab is a sacred symbol of the Order of the Crimson Claw, which is a sort of lesser known cult around here, known for cursing and, in their words, blessing certain items throughout the city. And you think as you look at it while it's at the table, you think it looks at you for a minute before the waitress, or excuse me, we'll say before the chef in the kitchen that's like coming to check on, did you like your croquettes? Tosses a napkin on top of that and says, "Get out of my restaurant with that." And then gives
Can I
Colette a
say-
nice little pat on the shoulder and says, "Please, dear," and walks away.
So is the complication that I only know kind of vague information about them, or would the complication be like I know that they bless items around the city, but I don't know they're actually curses?
It's a little bit of the limited effect from your ghostly chills, and a little bit of the complication is kind of giving you just, that's all you've got. It's just enough to be like, oh, this is a Crimson Claw thing, and they are they're making a power grab here. Something's going on.
Okay. I will relay that to Benny, who's tucking the medallion into his coat, and to anyone who's within, I don't know, like 2 feet.
And
because
it's
I'm not trying to
surprisingly-
shout it across the table kind of thing.
Benny, Benny's just as he tucks it into his coat, everyone in this city is making a power play. And he grabs one of the last pieces of bony, gristly meat off of the plate and kind of tosses it up in the air, and he snaps it out of the air with too many shark-like teeth. Said, "I'm not worried about them."
Carver, we should have named you Snaggle, but yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
quickly
and
just-
also this scarab is remarkably warm to the touch, Benny. Sorry, go
I was
ahead.
just-
Harvest.
I was just gonna quickly interject that I didn't describe my character. My character is like a young man in the between, I don't know, late 20s, brown hair, no glasses. I don't know why I pointed at my glasses because he has a monocle, but he typically keeps it tucked in his front pocket. His vest, collared white shirt, sleeves are rolled, trousers, boots that are comfortable to walk in. So they're like soft boots, but they can afford to get dirty. They're not fancy, but they're not worn. If that makes sense.
I'm detecting some similarities between the way you're dressed and the way Marcus is dressed. However, you're both very different in frame. What is tell us how Arvis kind of carries himself.
He has a very rigid manner. He sits straight. Typically, when he's at places, he walks with a straight back. You wouldn't say that he had military training because he doesn't have military training, but he has a very professional demeanor because he's used to. He worked as a stock clerk, so he's more used to talking to people in a higher position than him, or on an equal grounds than just speaking to people who are below him.
Gotcha.
And he is the only.
Someone below you.
He is probably the only person in the entire tavern who's not consuming alcohol. He has a cup of like a mushroom tea that's super. He asked for it to be super hot, and he has his fingers wrapped around it as tightly as he could to try to warm up.
Nice. So, are you guys gonna journey out into the chaos outside, or are you going to take your little secret exit to the grotto below and jump on a gondola?
I'm going to go talk to Gertie and ask her for the entrance, please. And also compliment her on the food because, as usual, it was lovely.
Marcus is inclined to take the secret exit out.
Yeah. She says, "Well, thank you, dear. I made it just for you. It's something your mother really loves." And she says, right this way, but just wait. Now go. And then she sort of opens this very inconspicuous sort of side door to the kitchen that just leads out to this dark, stony tunnel with barely enough light to see.
And down we go, I guess.
Let's take a break. How's that?
Yeah.
Come
that
back
sounds
in
good.
5 minutes. Or yeah, we'll just have a little quick bio break and freshen up your drink, and we'll see what's waiting for you down the stairs.
Yeah. Take us out, Scott.
Welcome back, everybody. So you guys meander through this sort of series of tunnels. It's just a little cramped, like so. Benny, it's tough to not bonk your head a couple of times. Marcus, it's tough to keep your hat on sometimes. So Jenna, did we establish any kind of when did that gondolier get paid off a few games ago? That wasn't a Valentine's Day game, was it?
It was a Valentine's Day game, so it has.
It is happening now.
I'm sorry.
So it's happening now.
Yeah, for the sake of drama and narrative, we can be wishy-washy with it because I said so. So let's go ahead and say that the gondoliers know that our crew does spooky nonsense. They are fully aware of that, and we have already paid them for their silence once.
Either that or we can just say that because you're the spider, you know this gondolier, and this gondolier is happy to see you. Waiting for you with a very dimly lit electroplasm powered lantern, like crackling blue. What have we established? Is the water are the waters in the canals in Duskfall, are they black? Or
Yeah.
are they speckled with stars like the Void Sea?
No,
I'm
it's
thinking they would be
black and sludge is what we have established before. It's basically like a really haunted, polluted Hudson River.
Yeah, I think
Right.
of it as being like swirls almost of motor oil.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't see what's going on underneath, but you can see like pollution and trash and maybe the occasional pinky finger
You occasionally see
float across the top.
you get the distinction, but you do get the impression that there are things down there, and you do not want to be in the water.
Correct. Oh, I can't hear James anymore. Are you muted?
Cannot. James, what happened? We can't hear you.
He can't hear you. I don't think he can hear us either.
I'll message him.
Okay.
Actually, I can vaguely hear him. I think he's turned his mic way down by accident.
Oh, he's frozen unless he's.
Making a face.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting face to make.
That is kind of an unfortunate spot to.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Uh-oh.
Ooh,
And he's gone. The ghost got him.
well, I can be the captain now.
For a second there. Okay. What did I miss? I asked, do you want me to use this chart of names in the book?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Oh man, this one that really jumped out at me was Holt
All right.
the gondolier. So Holt is happy to see you. Jenna, tell me one thing that's true about Holt.
I don't think I heard if you had established pronouns for Holt.
I have not.
Okay. Holt is a very tall man and kind of hunches. And now that we're back in this corridor, you kind of get the sense it's because he spends his time in places like this.
Great. And what do we all say?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lucas, tell me something that's true. Let's see. Tall, hunches. Tell me one thing that's true about Holtz, the gondolier that's tall and hunches in the corridors.
He wears a smile, but it's not a comfortable. It's not a smile that makes it look like he's happy.
Oh, and we all say
Yes.
yes. Thank
Yes.
you, Chad. Tell me something about Holtz, the gondolier, who has the uncomfortable smile and hunches.
Largely the only thing that you can see of him tends to be his smile and his fingers. Everything else is sort of concealed by ragged slightly ragged bandages and a hooded cloak, almost like a leper.
Yes. All right. Dan.
You are making a spooky friend right now.
I love it. Dan.
But I would say, despite his hooded cloak, you can see he has a shiny, dangly earring on his left ear.
Oh, and we all say yes.
Yes.
Dangly earring.
Yes.
So left
Is it a
ear.
scarab?
So yeah, so that's all
Oh.
that's speaking out. That's all that's speaking out. You know? Yes. The answer is yes. It is a scarab. It's you've done it, Jenna. So yeah, so Holtz is that uncomfortable smile, but yeah, no eyes, and yeah, and I'm thinking fingerless gloves, sort of like grasped on the pole with the sort of with a separate hanger for this lantern, and smiles that he just and he's hunched over and he says, "Welcome, lovelies." And then sort of like gingerly pushes the gondolier like right up against the side of this little stone area.
Well, thank you. That is a
Oh.
lovely earring you had, by the way.
And presume that this is all part of the plan, that you guys kind of knew that it was going to go down this way. So move forward with confidence that you planned for this.
We're quite comfortable on the canals, thank you.
So he sort of starts pushing, and yeah, there's this sort of the blackness of the canal. It's really eerie how much he's got to laboriously move this pole through the sludge, and every once in a while you think you might see something bump that pole, but Holtz is not worried in the slightest. There are some you can see off in the distance. There are, the usual specters that kind of are dancing through the windows in Duskwall. There are some. What's unusual though are some orange and red and yellow colored lamps, as if they're lit by oil. And as you approach a canal, they all go dark. And then you see, unless you resist, the light from the plasm lamp gets pulled up into one of these lamps before it's extinguished, and you're suddenly in pitch blackness. What do you do?
Does this frequently happen at this part of the journey?
Benny will have reached back behind him and pulled out a. Have you ever seen a hog splitter? A rather large blade, just in case.
A carver, you might say. And you know what? We did not talk about loadout, so I'm going to be a little. Can somebody explain to Dan what loadout means?
So, you go.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Your load determines on how you kind of look in appearance. Light load looks pretty much like you can run, jump, and dance like a normal person. Normal load looks like you're an ordinary person, and heavy load looks like you are suited as if you're getting ready for an operation of some sort. Depending on what load you have, will allow you to choose up to a certain number of items that you can pull out of your inventory while on a mission, which you can
Right.
find on the right-hand side of your character sheet.
Yep, and I remember reading a little bit about that. So yeah, and I see that.
So yeah, so looking at that sheet, it's not that you have all of those things. You packed exactly what you need. And when you use it, that's when you check it off. It's like, oh yeah, good thing I brought my fine, as Carver says, good thing I brought my, what was it? The hog splitter?
Hog splitter. It's
Yeah,
a real,
good thing I brought my hog splitter. And then, so, where are you? So we'll start with Lucas, since we had you talking about this. Where's your Arvis? What load are you going to be on this?
I'm going to be normal.
So medium. So kind of out for trouble, but not loaded for bear. Carver.
I think medium. given
Okay.
that it's the fairly dangerous holiday, but I also don't want to look like I'm going healed, you know.
Great. Volette, where are you on the loadout?
She usually travels very light, just in case. Because if anyone's going to be picked up, it's going to be her.
Gotcha. All right. And so, Dan, what are you thinking for Marcus? Would you like to be low, medium, or high loadout?
I'm also thinking normal. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So that limits how much you have. That limits how much you can carry. You have brought. So whenever that stuff comes up, it's all part of the plan. So Benny's brandishing his hog splitter. So, but you hear it. You don't see it. You know that familiar sound of Benny's like.
The whisper of steel on leather.
Right, his dry hands like just sort of squeezing on the knife, and you know you're safe. So you're just sort of like inching. You can still feel the movement of the. You can still feel the movement of the boat, and then you hear some sort of like whispers from around the edge of the canal that seem to be sort of following you along the side of the canal as you just go further and deeper into the black nothingness.
I would suggest everyone keeps their hands in their laps and not on the outside of the boat.
So, go ahead. I'm ready, Lucas.
One of my items that I will always carry on me, no matter what kind of mission I'm doing, will be my monocle, my spirit mask. I'm wanting to attune, because I know that there are typically spirits and things inside the water of Dustfall, and there may be them not in the water in Dustfall where we are right now. And since there's no such thing as really dark vision, I'm going to try to see the spirit side of things.
Tell us what your spirit mask looks like. From what I understand, every Whisper's spirit mask is a unique and special part of them. What does yours look like, and what does that say about you?
So my spirit mask is a single monocle. It has like bottle green glass as the lens, and the outside of it is a etched silver. The chain leads into a pocket where it's actually connected to a pocket watch, so they're one and the same. They're part of the same item. And I think that's a decent description.
That's great. When you put this monocle on your eye, does your face change?
Oh.
I'm going to say that my face doesn't change, but if you were to look at my eye through the monocle, it would be not there. Like you would see just emptiness where my eye would be.
Wow. Yes. So, and your spirit mask, does that give you like a +1D on a tune or anything like that? Does your spirit mask give you a bonus?
I don't believe so.
I kind of feel like, tell you what I'll do. Since it's your spirit mask, it's probably going to give you better effect. So instead of being
oh yeah, you're right. It's a fine spirit mask, so it is a +1.
There you go. So yeah, so and you're navigating against I'm just gonna say, because I know this, we'll talk a little bit about tier. You're navigating against a tier 2 faction's worth of their clandestine shroud magics that so in theory that would give them 2 scales above you, which would cut your efficacy to nothing. But with your spirit mask, we will call it limited effect. It will be a risky roll. So if you would, is that what you're trying? What skill would you like to use?
I'm going to use a tune, which I have 2 points in, and then the fine spirit mask would pump it up 1.
It would pump your effect up 1. Since it counts as a fine. So you still have 2 dice. Would you like to take a devil's bargain or push yourself for more stress, or is there a way you can justify a friend helping you?
I'm already racking up stress, and so I'm not
Yes.
super interested in using that at this time when we're not in any immediate danger, especially since I know that one of the members of my crew is armed and dangerous right now.
Okay.
Not
All
that he's
right.
not normally dangerous; it's just he's more dangerous.
Let's roll them and see what happens.
Give me a moment to relocate the Roll20. There we go.
I know it's like the smallest icon on the screen.
Well, that's not good.
Wow.
I got a 2.
So, what? There's a scream from the spectral field that like reaches in. It just goes right through your monocle, and it just fills your body and just makes you feel frozen as the boat rocks and tips, and you feel something bonk against either side of the boat, and you hear 4 boots fall on opposite sides of the gondola, and you're still in pitch blackness. What do you guys do? What are the rest of you doing? You hear these boots.
Boots.
I assume that the gondoliers, who are smart and capable, have turned off the lights at this point because there's stuff that would be better if we just did not freak out about seeing, and we could just get on our way and things would go smoothly. And I, being a previous coal miner, am really just fine sitting in the dark. It does not bother me. So Valette is very calm, and once we hear the boots on either side, she assumes that this means that we have reached a destination. Will we be able to turn the lights back on to get off of the boat, or are you going to have to help us all up? Because, unfortunately, and though I would love to be able to, I actually cannot see in the dark.
An unfamiliar voice says, "Just a moment, madam." Very calm, very smooth.
Ah, yes. We've been on these canals, I understand. And she'll just very calmly and patiently waiting, as I'm sure there's some eldritch horror is moving in front of the boat at the moment, and she is going to stay blissfully ignorant of it.
Okay. Marcus and Benny.
Benny is just gonna, as long as there's nothing that Benny perceives as hostile action, he will remain alert, but otherwise won't take any hostile action himself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm inclined to. I'm thinking I got a pistol under my coat and want to put my hand on it. I'm not saying I pull it. I'm just saying I reach in and have a hand on it.
Just for comfort.
Sure, yes. It makes me feel happy inside.
It's an emotional support pistol,
Correct, yes.
At the risk, all right, everybody's just sitting around. At the risk of sparking outrage at the table, who's got the wine?
It's not me.
Benny's probably the most dangerous and hardest to take down. So unless Violette has insisted on carrying it, Benny will probably have it.
I
You
believe
hear-
we probably had the conversation about not opening the box, but once the conversation was over, Benny is probably the one with the wine. Correct.
So where is the wine, Benny?
As with most things, Benny has probably got it tucked up under his coat, probably carrying it as part of the harness where he otherwise carries most of his gear.
Okay.
So probably tucked up under his coat, likely up under one of his, along his side, under one of his arms.
It's quite amazing. Unless you resist, you will hear the sound and feel the sliding of glass against your against your buckles as it leaves your jacket in the
Oh, Penny
pitch
will
black.
definitely resist. Yeah.
Okay, so to me, that seems like
When you say, you mean like it's just slipping of its own volition, or like this is a ghost thing?
as far all we know is that it's coming out of his jacket. So let me look at your sheet really quick. That to me seems like it would be a resist either with insight or prowess. Do any of the players have an argument for either one?
Yeah, finesse feels very much like what you're trying to do because you can't see right now. So
Okay.
keeping a hold of something just from feel does kind of
So-
feel like a finesse thing.
So roll your prowess, Benny. Not your finesse, but your prowess.
Prowess.
And tell me the highest of those dice. I have since I started trying to pay attention to singular and plural, I screw it up every time.
No, hang on.
So you roll a category by rolling the lowest
Oh, right.
that
Okay.
you have in that category, but also in Roll20, if you click on the word prowess, it will let you roll.
Oh,
That
word.
Yeah, I couldn't remember for a second how
Yeah,
to.
which is one of the reasons we really like the Roll20 character sheets, because if you're trying to do something, anywhere you click, if it is a roll, it'll set it up for you, which is nice.
How'd it go?
Highest was a
What-
5, so you only
Highest
take
was
one.
fine.
Yeah, it says he resists.
So you take one stress. How do you prevent this? Wine bottle from leaving your jacket?
Well, as Benny feels it slipping out, as it comes out of his jacket, his left hand, he reaches across and just grabs it by the neck of the bottle. And then, whether or not there's anything there, he brings his blade back across in front.
Great.
And if there's anybody physically holding it, they probably lose a hand.
Gotcha. What action rating do you think that is for you to roll to do your slashing?
I think that may very well move into skirmish.
Okay.
Skirmish or wreck probably depends on how much finesse you think Benny is using with that.
You feel as your hand closes around the bottle, you feel a bony yet gloved hand around the bottle. So you clasp that hand over the bottle. There is another hand, so you've both got one hand. I'm going to call it risky, but standard effect unless you have some kind of fine weapon that you're using. And would you like to spend stress to push yourself for an extra die, take a devil's bargain, or in some way elicit help from a friend?
I'll spend stress.
Okay, spend 2
You can
stress,
always
add
ask for
a die
help,
for
too.
yourself.
What's
That's
that?
true, and I will say that it costs someone 1 stress to help you. It costs you 2 stress to add to help yourself.
Yeah, if anyone wants to help, Benny will sing out that someone's trying to take the bottle.
On my person at all times, one of my items that doesn't count for anything is a Spirit Bane charm. I imagine that hers is probably kind of a crucifix style thing, but very, very pointed. So she is just going to casually pull it out and point her Spirit Bane charm at Holt that way, which is a little bit unconventional for it, but she's not entirely sure, as you've said, there's stuff going on around. She's not entirely sure if this is like ghostly or actually him. So the person is trying to take the bottle. So I will help keep this person in place. Now that's not very nice. We of course love to share with our friends, but we're not going to share everything. So I will gladly take 1 stress and kind of keep him still and contained for you while you do your thing.
Well,
That's beautiful. Yeah.
here's where things go off the
So-
rails.
So you can get help, and you can spend the 2 stress if you want to get 2 extra die. Chad, just thought I'd let you know. The devil's bargain and pushing yourself, you choose one or the other. You can always get help in addition. So
No, I think I'll just do the get help.
okay, all right, get the help. So let's
Yeah.
So when she grabs her spirit bane charm, that use the the blue electric light flares up in front of you, and you see what looks like a lamplighter tool light up with blue electric flame and lights the face of a very surprised man that has his hand on your wine. Make your roll.
Let's see. And for whatever reason, it won't let me. So that's risky, correct? You did?
Oh yeah, that's right. We're calling it risky.
Yeah, it won't let me add the other die and roll 20 for whatever reason.
You can roll it separate. It'll be okay.
Yeah, I'll just roll one.
I guess not everything
There it
is nice and smooth.
It throws it in at the end rather than the beginning like it does on some other rolls. 4, 2, and 4. So my highest is a 4.
Okay. So so you managed to, I'm going to start a clock over here. So you managed to, so tell me what that looks like you kind of gashing across this now illuminated lamplighter.
Like I said, Benny he's grabbed the bottle in the man's hand with his left hand, as Violette has sort of put her charm to the throat. He brings this very sharp blade across. Since it's a 4, and so I didn't succeed completely. I imagine the man struggling, and as he kind of manages to pull his arm mostly out of the way, but still sustains a pretty nasty jagged cut across his forearm, as he's trying desperately to break Benny's grip.
Great. He yowls back in pain. Since you did not push yourself to add a die, you do have the option to spend 2 stress and add an extra effect, and I'll take another box on the clock if you'd like, and increase the efficacy of your swing.
You know what? Why not? Benny's feeling bloodthirsty at this point.
Yep. Spend those 2 stress. So as you like grunt and really dig into this guy, how does it evolve from a gash on the arm to something else?
As the blade hits, Benny kind of feels it not quite connect the way he wants. It sort of deflects off the bone in the man's forearm. He twists the blade and runs it up his arm under the flesh, and just flenses a large piece off of the man's forearm all the way up past his elbow.
And he howls back in pain. And somebody draw me a picture. You guys are sitting on this long gondola. Where is everyone sitting?
I imagine, logistically speaking, if there was anywhere that 2 people could sit together, that Benny and I would be next to each other with his wine side kind of on the inside between us, and that's how I could also reach this guy.
Gotcha.
I'm back near the gondolier, but I'm like curled over in my seat, shivering.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was about to say, on a gondola, it'd be 2 people in the back facing the front and 2 people towards the front facing the back, normally.
Okay, so then that means you would probably be facing you and Arvis would be facing Benny and Valette, and when Valette like triggers her spirit charm and it lights up this lamplighter's with this blue spectral flame, you also notice that directly behind Holtz, who is just grinning like an idiot and trying to keep the gondola from tipping over, is totally unaware that there's this sort of like squinty black goateed man with another lamplighter pole with a like what looks like some kind of sharpened end on one side and a spiked bell on the other. That's like menacingly getting ready to raised up and getting ready to clobber poor Holtz across the back of the head. Marcus, are anyone? Let's give somebody else a turn besides Benny.
So, you know what? I had my hand on a pistol. Can I pull it out and take a shot at this guy?
Absolutely. Who are you going to take a shot at? The one who's trying to steal the wine, or the one that's behind Holtz?
Yeah, no, the one. I'm thinking the one that's trying to steal the wine. As long as I can, I feel like I gotta be reasonably close. Yeah, I don't want to hit one of my compadres, which I don't actually know that well anyway. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, if I can do that and take a shot, I will.
Well, yeah, and we'll call it, since your compadres are closely entangled with this person, we will call it a desperate. Well, what are you going to roll? What action rating are you going to use? What skill?
Would that be wreck, maybe? Because I've got 2 prowess wreck.
I feel like you're going for fine aim. Wreck is more general destruction, unless you're just firing wildly.
Yeah, if you're trying to avoid us, it might be more of a prowess. But if you're like
I've got nothing in
games where if you can give a reason for any roll, you can do any roll. So if you're like, I am going to fully splatter this man's brains across the wall, you could call that a wreck.
Sure.
But if you wanted to be like, I'm very carefully aiming so that I don't hit my friends, you could call that a finesse.
I hear what you're saying.
It could be finesse. It could also be hunt. It could also be hunt.
Hunt is another one that you can use.
So there's options, is what I'm saying. It doesn't have to.
Insight, hunt, survey, tinker, skirmish. What?
If you chose wreck, it would be a desperate action, and which would mean there would be desperate consequences.
Yeah, and I'm looking at what I have. Refresh me on skirmish.
Skirmish is like tangling. If you wanted to skirmish, you would probably want to use some other weapon besides a shooting weapon.
Unless you're going to clock him over the head with it.
But if you stood,
or I was thinking jump up and put the barrel right against his head.
I'll take a skirmish for that.
Trigger.
Yeah, I'll take a skirmish for that.
But
that will be
because we're in a gondola, so it's a matter of just jumping up, pushing my weapon right up against his head, and pulling the trigger. Thereby, I mean, it's not worst case scenario. It's just going to splatter brain guts against somebody.
Skirmishing will give you great effect, but it's also going to be desperate because you're going to be standing up on a moving gondola in a canal, face to face with a guy with a electrically lit lamplighter tool in your face. So just go for it. You plan for this.
But as someone that hails from the Dagger Isles, I mean, I have experience being on a boat.
I love it. I say just go for it.
All right. So what about?
It's not going to take you out. Got to play that character like you're driving a stolen car.
Do I just need to roll the d6? Is that?
What you rolling skirmish? Oh,
yes.
I'm looking at the wrong sheet. But you can just click the word, and then it'll ask you, is it risky or whatever, and then you tell it desperate, and then for effect you put great. Do you want to add any dice? Can you justify
risky.
Any help?
Oh no, click risky. Is that what you said?
Desperate.
Desperate. Submit.
This is the one thing I don't like about the Roll20.
Nope, I'm working through it though. Under effect, hit great.
Yep.
I actually really appreciate that Roll20 does this because I frequently forget about position and effect, which is how you get XP in the game. So the fact that Roll20 is like, hey, remember it, is like, oh, good.
Gotcha.
And next box was bonus dice. There is no bonus dice, right?
Are you going to spend stress to get a dice, or let someone else spend stress to help you?
Why not? I have not yet.
Or take a devil's bargain.
I'll spend stress.
Okay.
Spend one. Yeah. So spend one stress for one bonus die.
Yep. You spend 2 stress for 1 bonus die.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh no.
That's actually really bad. Yeah.
That's 2 threes.
Okay. So but this is going to be interesting because like yeah, so I would
Oops.
I'm going to say I'm honestly going to say that two things happen. That one no, that would be that you're from the Dagger Isles. I think losing your balance would be bad. I think two things are going to happen. I think this person that has trying to take the wine has leaned over and like clocked you on the side of the head with this spiked bell to give you like 2 levels of harm unless you resist. And I will share in this system, harm sucks. I do recommend resisting. It is hard to recover from harm.
All right.
That
Well, then
at
So I
level
do
2
recommend.
level 2 harm will make you'll have a negative die for every roll until
I
it.
got you.
Also
Well,
that.
then I'll try to resist. Yeah.
So roll your prowess.
Prowess. Where's? Oh, there it is. Bonus.
Just click
There's
on where
no
it says
bonus-
prowess. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no bonus dice. Submit. Are you serious?
Double ones?
Wow. So you take 5 stress. Tell me how you are not hurt by getting clocked on the side of the head by this spiked bell.
Tell me how I'm not hurt. Well, okay.
How do you get by? How do you like? Oh, do you shrug it off? Do you dodge it? Does it
I'm-
hit you? Do you catch it with your hand? Like what?
I'm just thinking. Okay, no, I get.
You're not hurt. How do you not get hurt?
Yeah, How do I not get hurt? I don't know how I not get hurt. I put my hands up. The bell hits me on the side of the head. I go over on the side. I grab the edge of the side of the boat. I vomit. I mean, I just hurl off the side and just sort of after that just roll over. And I've still got the pistol in hand.
Yep.
And I'm just
Very
laying
good.
there. So,
Meanwhile, that shot made your bullet go wild, and you winged poor Benny in the shoulder. Unless Benny, you resist or have some special
lovely.
armor to spend.
I'm sorry.
Of course, Benny is going to resist.
All right,
You
Give me that
probably
prowess
do
roll.
have armor though.
you can check that box.
Fair point. Yeah, Benny is probably wearing armor. Yeah, well, yeah, I imagine Benny is usually wearing armor. He's probably
This is not going well for me.
lined the inside of that jacket with chain or something similar.
Give me like a 15-second like sexy flashback to Benny getting dressed and putting on this armor, and tell me what it looks like. What's playing on the Victrola, and what are you?
Let's see. That morning, Benny wakes up in a surprisingly posh bedroom, rolls out, stretches. Surprisingly tender gesture. He pulls the blanket up on the sleeping form next to him as he gets dressed. He picks up his jacket. You can tell, even for someone Benny's size, as he picks it up, it's sort of heavier than you would expect. And as he sort of flares it out to swing it on, you can see the inside is lined with heavy patches of chainmail, oddly enough, interwoven with bits of what appear to be bone.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
pretty metal, dude.
How many times has your nose been broken?
He's lost count.
Okay,
A fair few. That's how he got this pretty.
that's lovely. All right, so Valette or Arvis, what do you guys have anything to contribute to this scene? There's still this other. Actually, unless somebody's going to give me a resistance roll, you missed your chance for the lamplighter to shove poor Holtz into the inky blackness of the water.
Yeah, I'll give it a resistance roll. I can think of something Benny would do once he saw the guy.
Okay.
So this, sorry, just so I'm clear, we initially thought that it was Holt trying to steal the wine, but really it's this new lamplighter.
Yeah,
So
it's two of them, one on either end.
We're being boarded.
when you say lamplighter, sorry, is that one of the other factions in Dustfall, or is another gondolier?
You can tell by looking at them that it is the lamplighters, because that's their sort of their tool to like light the oil lamps in Duskfall. But since they don't have to light so many, now they've kind of malformed them into these strange weapons, and they were clearly after your wine.
All right, so we don't then get the impression that this was actually Holt. It was,
Oh no, poor Holtz is a teddy bear.
because I thought at first that it was. So I was like, I need to like recalibrate the mental image that
I like the trust that's being pushed here. So I'm okay with that. But you're realizing like, oh no, not Holtz is actually totally unaware of what's going on.
So,
Give me that roll.
well, can I use not to be trifled with?
Oh, that's like fighting a crowd.
You can push yourself to do one of the following: perform a feat of physical force that verges on the superhuman, engage a small gang on equal footing in close combat, something of that scale. Yeah.
Well, this would, I mean, two is a small gang.
Well,
But what does it? But
and yeet him.
well,
Yeah.
essentially, since I have this first guy by the arm,
right.
Benny yanks his hand free and bodily throws him into the other lamplighter.
Okay, gotcha. Who's gonna give me the resistance roll to keep keep Holtz from falling in the water, or does anybody care?
Can I attempt to use a resistance roll for resolve to like encourage him to fight back on his own with the giant pole he has?
I'll entertain it. What does that look like? Is it a verbal thing?
I'm gonna say there's a, I don't know, on your right or something. I don't know.
Can you give me something spooky? You're a whisper. Give me something like nasty in your collection that will help Holtz.
I mean, I could have spirit bottles on me, but I've already released ghosts before, and that never turns out good.
That was a totally different score. That was
What?
obviously very specific circumstances.
In that case, rather than a save, can I use my ability Compel, where I can attune to the ghost field and force a nearby ghost to appear and follow a single command? I will not be terrified by the ghost, though my allies might be, and I'm going to try to have it push the guy who's trying to push off Holt.
Yes, we're gonna do it with two rolls though. So give me that resolve roll to resist.
The resolve roll would, okay.
Since you want to resist with resolve, I'll let it happen.
I'm not gonna do any bonus die. I got a 5.
Okay,
Nice.
so take one stress,
Nice.
and now give me that. And then do you roll for your compel? What do you?
It's a special ability. You can attune. It says you can attune to the ghost field to force a nearby ghost and command it, and have it obey a command you give it. You're not You're not terrified by the ghost you summon or compel. Though allies may be.
Oh, so I'll call it a
I roll.
So yeah, so you are going to need to make a roll for that. Which, to me, it's obvious, but I gotta ask, what skill would you like to roll to compel this ghost? Great.
Attune.
I'm going to call it a controlled roll because you are doing it on purpose. And there's no need to do like a limited extra effect. It's just going to be pass fail. But if you crit, we'll talk about it later. So yeah, give me that attune roll.
Okay.
That's what I wanted. I wanted it to get weird.
Oh, there was no doubt that was going to happen.
I got a 5.
Whoa.
Great.
Okay.
So where is this ghost and what does it look like? Where does it come from? It was in the pitch blackness, like now suddenly there's a ghost.
It is going to literally come straight up through the bottom of the boat to grab the guy.
Right? It was like a drowning victim, like with
Yeah.
chains and bricks, like reaching up and grabbing the guy. So like, yeah, just like hands and just like sunken in features, like totally weathered in. Yeah. Terrifying. So it's grabbed it. What is that? That's what you wanted to do is
It's
How-
coming up. It's coming up between Holt and the guy attacking him, and just trying to like throw the other guy off.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. And it's just sort of like jumped in between them and is
Yeah.
oogly boogly and trying to push
Yeah.
him. What does it look like you or sound like? How does everyone else in the boat experience you dominating this ghost? Is there a sound that you make or is there a feeling? Do you draw all the warmth out of everyone's bodies? How does it feel?
I like that idea. I like the idea of I'm already cold. Let's just make it a lot colder. There is ice visibly on me, just not in such a way that I'm getting frostbite, but I'm there's like a collection of frost, the whiteness of it, kind of running across my clothing, and to the people closest to me, which would be Holt and
Marcus.
Marcus. Sorry, I was forgetting the character name.
That's all right. I'm ready.
And the other guy, they can now see their breath.
Yeah.
And icicles on the beards.
and they also hear everyone hears this ungodly screech as the thing rips, like, if it was interacting with the boat, it would blow a hole through it and like the force is coming up, but it's just passing through the boat and going straight for the guy.
Right. And like, yeah, and you see the guy, like all the color like drains out, drops his lamplight tool into the water, and it pops on the water and then slowly sinks into the sludge. Benny, I didn't forget about you. What you want to fling this? You want to fling the guy that's behind you?
Well, I mean, if
To the other?
the ghost is already taking care of the other guy,
What do you want to do?
in that case, rather than do the not to be trifled with to hurl him completely at the other guy, I think Benny will. Do we want to keep one of them alive? Benny is going to, I think, wreck in this instance. Since he's slashed his arm open, he's got a good grip on him. He's going to twist that arm, use it to yank the guy in front of him, twist the arm, and slam him down into the boat.
I love it. I'll call it risky. It'll just be standard. Give me that rec roll.
Okay.
If your companion will allow you.
3.
Oh no. So
Boo.
yeah, so he's still like clutching to this bottle of wine. I mean, I kind of want him to snatch it from you, but is now stabbing, like manages to like dodge you and drills this bladed side of his lamp lighting tool right into your shoulder, and it's everything you can do to hold on, to take a point of harm, or to take 2 points of harm unless you resist.
Well, I mean, of course.
Nice. And you also, if you have any armor left, to check.
Let's see. How much did I take before to armor?
Oh, just one.
Just one. I still have a point of armor, but yeah, I'll go ahead and resist.
Yeah, just resist. Save that point of armor for later.
Yeah. So is
What
that?
a sneaky, devious GM.
Hmm.
What's that, Jenna?
I said, what a sneaky and devious GM. Yeah, go ahead. Take the stress. Save it for later when later is not sure.
What's the what? What should I use to resist on that wreck or skirmish? I
Prowess.
should use one of those. What's that? Or just
Prowess.
prowess in general? Okay.
Whoa.
663.
No stress. Tell me how that. Yeah, tell me how 663. Oh, so gain a point of stress, right, Jenna? I mean, you restore a point of stress.
Restore a point of stress.
Nice.
Restore a point of stress. Tell me how you just shrug that shit off.
So he brings that down, and it slams into Benny's shoulder, and it sort of deflects off of one of the various pieces of bone and heavy patching that he's got skin, and it sort of skims across and kind of scratches him, but it doesn't really harm him. But Benny just grins this really wide, shark-toothed grin, in the guy's, right in the guy's face.
Great. What do you say? What do you say to him?
Nastier monsters than you have tried.
Ooh. All right, Valette. I need, I'm looking at the time. I need you and Marcus to take us home. Valette, you had something for this. What is it?
Oh my goodness.
You knew this was going to happen.
Of course I knew this was going to happen. This happens every time we go on the floor. So she pulls the Spirit Bane charm away from where it was, because obviously this guy's not there anymore. And she kind of wraps the rosary part around her arm. And there's one left, right? There's one left on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, this guy's ready. This guy's ready to get totally clocked. The one that the ghost is shaking off. He's terrified, but he hasn't. He's terrified, but he hasn't left yet.
He hasn't gone for a swim.
Right. Well,
Right.
I don't have time for this. I have other things I need to do this evening. So I am going to wrap the Spirit Bane charm around the rosary part of it around, and then almost have it like a Spirit Bane brass knuckles, kind of.
Oh, cool.
Kind of a 1-2 punch, so to speak. And I would like to use Wreck and just clock this dude straight in his stupid face. And
The one that's got the
hopefully throw him
wine?
off the boat. Yes.
The one that's got the wine? Okay. Great.
Yes. I would like to not lose the wine in the process. So I have 2 in Wreck, but I'm very open to hearing a devil's bargain.
Can I assist in that in any way? I've got 2 in Wreck.
Well, yeah, you don't need the 2 in Wreck. Just tell me narratively how you're going to help her.
I have 2 in Wreck. There's a certain theme I'm sensing here.
Well, yeah.
As I said before, our crew isn't really known for subtlety.
It's a wreck is going to be a desperate maneuver because it's probably going to cause damage to the gondola. You might drop the wine. Wreck is very chaotic, so the desperate consequence is is on the table.
Marcus
option.
Marcus really wants to save the wine, and maybe that's how I assist in trying to make sure we keep it safe.
So you
keep it from falling into the water, whatever.
Great. So you take a point. Of stress. Jenna's going to get an extra die. The devil's bargain.
I did say at the beginning that I'm usually the face or the distraction. So I think what's probably happening here is Marcus and I kind of nod to each other, and I'm getting straight up in this dude's face, and Marcus is going to weave behind and take the bottle. That's our work together plan.
So the devil's bargain is, what is your signature calling card that will let when this guy falls into the frigid waters of the canal and they dredge his body, what's going to be the thing that how would someone recognize that it's you
First off,
guys?
I'm absolutely taking this devil's bargain. Second, well, unfortunately, we happen to have a eensy tiny habit of summoning ghosts at almost every opportunity that we can. And the Carrion Crew, it's not that it's a certain type of ghost, but really it's a certain type of summon where they end up with the crow, uh, like claw, not claw, like foot mark somewhere on them where we have kind of pulled them in. So it may be on the chest or on the neck or something, but that's part of how everyone in our crew kind of gets the ghost that we get, and unfortunately it makes a terrible mess.
The ghosts have claw marks.
Where the crow feet that we use have pulled them in, yes.
Wow. And
Right.
also, yes, that means that this drowned ghost will be at large. Like that ghost was probably just trapped doing whatever at the bottom of the canal, and now Arvis has like pulled this ghost out. Now it's like, oh, there's another one of the crow's ghosts again.
And
I mean, it's Valentine's. I'm just
given that
celebrating.
the cold and the frost that Arvis summoned, the marks take the form of frostbite, blackened frostbite mark.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. All
Yeah,
right.
we're Carrion
crows
Crew,
have
so we're
talons.
very Raven and Crow and Corvid based.
It's beautiful. So that's mechanically gonna turn into extra heat. So so that'll just be a +1 heat at the end of the score. But story wise, you know what it is. All right, you get that extra die. You get the extra die from Marcus. Let's see that, and it's desperate. So mark your experience. Oh, and Marcus, you get a prowess experience in there too. Don't forget to mark that.
Okay.
Oh goodness, okay. That is a 2, a 3, a 3, and a 5. So a 5.
Oh my God!
I'm very glad I
So
have all 4 of those dice.
Now,
you pitch him into the water. I'm gonna spread this out, and then I'm gonna call for a different resistance roll for everybody. But the ichor that's in the canal splashes, and everyone gets a drop of this black canal water on you, and you're gonna take 1 level of like spiritual harm, and it's gonna be, we will call it, touched by the void. And we'll see. Unless you resist, I will call for a resolve roll for resist if anybody wants to not have that harm.
I'll do it.
Oh,
Do
I
it.
mean, this is it.
All right, let's see how you guys do.
4.
I got a 4. Or no, I got a 5.
Okay.
2.
Arvis, take a point of stress.
Marcus
Well,
somehow
that takes-
takes cover behind Benny, I guess.
yeah.
Oh, what did you? Okay, so Arvis, you marked yours down. Chad, did you figure out how much stress you take?
I got a 4, so I guess that would be what, 2.
Take 2. And then
I
Valette,
rolled
what
a
did you
2,
get?
so I take 4 stress.
Wow. And Marcus,
Which
did you
sort of
roll?
makes sense because I'm very involved in what's happening here up close.
I rolled a 6.
Okay, so I love that you like, yeah. So did you guys get to call the shots? Did you totally dodge this blackness touching you, or
Yeah, I basically I dove. I hate to put it this way, but anybody in my party there that was available, I just dove behind them to protect myself. That's how pathetic I was.
That would
Or
be me. That's part of my job.
great? So go ahead, Arvis.
Oh, I was just gonna say that like it hit me, and then it could kind of like, but it hit the parts of my arms that were like coated in ice, so it just kind of slipped off.
Okay. I want to let that be up to you whether it hits you and it doesn't affect you, or it hits you or it doesn't.
It still caused me first. I look at it and was like,
So, and I'm not gonna
still holding the Spirit Bane charm in her hands, and there's a rosary-style beading around it, and you see one of the beads just goes black.
Yeah, I love it. So
there are
um,
already some black beads on there for sure. It's another one goes black.
So I'm not gonna call for Arvis to make his big nasty roll for that ghost to like envelop the lamplighter, the remaining lamplighter into the canal. And I had this really groovy scene of you guys like running into the cult of the Crimson Claw. That might be kind of like a fun story to kind of tell in a flashback. We'll figure out what that looks like. You guys coming into the circle and selling the bottle of wine and making connections. And there's probably somebody very important and very rich underneath one of those hoods. So we'll figure all that out.
Downtime.
Right. That can all be downtime, but we'll call that a successful score. I don't want to leave you guys hanging in the middle of a score between games with so little to like actually accomplish. I realize that we're right at 11 o'clock Central. I like to end every game with stars and wishes. So if you guys want to do a lightning round, tell me one thing you really liked and one thing you wish you could have seen. So, or want to see more of. So we'll start with Jenna because Jenna's done this before. Jenna, tell me something you liked. What was the star in the session for you?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. It brought me joy that Gertie works here, and just judging by the fact that her weapon and Eddie's weapon is the same, I was asking in the chat is if maybe Gertie and Eddie are dating.
Benny.
Benny, sorry, Eddie.
Oh,
Yeah. If Benny and Gertie are dating, so having her in the world makes me happy. I really enjoyed that, but also I am so proud of my little hoodlums that it took us about 5 seconds of game time to start summoning ghosts and wreaking havoc everywhere.
It's sort of our signature thing.
Right. Scott was like, "Oh no," and I was like, "Yes, this means we get XP." Which,
Yep.
by the way, we'll do XP in the game in the downtime channel. Don't worry about that on stream.
okay.
We'll do all that in the downtime channel.
Usually together we kind of argue about that, like, well, I think you only did something spooky once. Well, you did do the other spooky thing, and then somebody goes, oh yeah, so because you get 2 points if it happened more than once.
Mhm.
All right, so I want to call you Gertie. Valette, what's something that you want to see more of or wish was different?
I definitely want to see more of these factions that we might be dealing with. I want to know what's going on with the Scarabs. Is that somehow related to the Lamplighters? Like, is this a cult that we have pissed off now? Are we going to be fighting with the Lamplight? Like, I want to play into this faction game. So I'm really looking forward for that to come up later with some later consequences.
Okay. Dan, we'll go to you. What's something you liked in the game?
Okay, so honestly, I like the heavy role play that's in this game. I am simultaneously terrified by the heavy role play that's in this game because that's not necessarily something I feel like I'm very good at. But it is fun, and no doubt.
Great. Something that you wish you would have seen or want to see more of in the future?
Well, with this adventure in particular, I'm wondering if we're gonna. What the hell's going on with this bottle of wine? Are we gonna sell it or not?
I think we're gonna screen wipe to you guys like selling the wine. That was like the big scary moment, and then it's just like, well, okay, and then we sell the wine. Like that was.
Because
We'll
I'm
say
telling
that's
you,
uneventful.
I wanted to sell it, get rid of it, be done with it, and I'm like, what are we gonna do that or not?
Welcome to the crew, Marcus.
Right. We'll call that wine as good as gone. We'll just kind of figure out like we'll draw on your meeting with the cult
I
as
don't want to give it
flashback
away.
material. Oh, you're gonna make money. You always make money in this game. That's like this is not Shadowrun. You don't suddenly get stiffed on the bill.
That we'll handle all that. We'll handle all that in the downtime channel so that we can
Great.
talk about it back and forth there.
Great. Arvis, something that you liked about the game or a favorite moment?
I liked that this time when I summoned a ghost, it attacked the enemies and not us.
Hey, there you go. You're learning.
You are getting better.
Though
Um,
the last time I just smacked a bottle, and, like we just broke a spirit bottle, and whatever came out came out. For what I want to see in the future, honestly, I'm pretty happy with these sessions. I just wish I could get more into the role-playing mood as quickly as some of the other people in the group.
Okay.
Some of us have
That's
been doing this for a long time.
A very long time.
That's actually really great because that's really great input, Lucas, because there probably are ways for us to kind of like get a little more limber as a group. So there I'm sure there are tools for that. Benny, things you liked, favorite moments in the session.
I think for me it was obviously, it's kind of the first time some of these characters meeting each other, but the interplay between characters that starts to develop is one of the things that I particularly enjoy. It brings it makes the crew as a whole feel more alive, more real.
What makes the crew feel more alive? I'm sorry, I missed part of that.
The interactions between each character as things have happened over the course of the session.
Oh, okay.
Marcus
Cool.
very well having shown himself to be perfectly willing to hide behind everyone else or fire in their direction. So now Benny's going, he might be a problem.
Yeah, man, heart of the cards. I'm into it though. You got to go for it. And see, and you whine like a mule. You're still alive. So anyway, yeah. All right. So things you wish you saw or want to see more of in the future.
I'm kind of with Jenna. I want to see more of the factions, but I think more specifically, I kind of want to see more of the kind of collaborative world building that we've done. As far as like details and as the game sort of focused, like as we each sort of something happens, we describe it or describe the NPC or whatnot. The sort of collaborative world building is something. It's probably the GM in me, but it's something I particularly enjoy.
Say no more. You shall have it.
I didn't start doing a lot of that with this game, and I've been trying to do more of it, but that's something too. I want this to be more, especially since we're going to have rotating GMs, having more group world building rather than just like me making up everything or going strictly by the book. So I was really like, when you were asking like, yeah, what does the DOS look like? What's this and what's that and how does this look? It was like, great, yeah, send it.
And also like pick up those dice. Like if you want stuff to happen, because when you roll the dice, things move. That's just the way the system is built. As soon as you throw those dice on the table, something's going to happen, whether it's exactly what you want or what you want and something else or something worse. So yeah, you guys are great. So we'll yeah. That's all I got for stuff here. We'll go through we'll deal with downtime, but before we do that, we're going to riff on experience and we'll go down your triggers and mark 1 or 2 for each one, and then we'll talk about the crew. So that we'll do that in the downtime channel, and let's get all that out of the way first, and then because that's usually what you do at the end of the session, and then we'll do downtime after that. So
all right. And then, so as far as sort of outro for the game, Scott, I don't know if you have anybody that you want to raid. There is someone I follow named Dead Aussie Gamer who's playing Pathfinder 2, so we could always. Oh, perfect. He's on. Great. So stick around. We're gonna raid Drew, but also on Sunday they have I believe it's Dragonbane going on, and if Dragonbane doesn't float your boat, then you can come over to Fen Gamer Party because we're gonna be playing a little bit of Siren Squad, and then come back next Monday, and we're gonna be playing more Blades in the Dark, hosted by James here, and then whenever I get the hankering to run it again, then I'll be doing really whatever I feel like at any particular point in time is how that goes. So yeah, good night everybody. Stick around to see Drew. Okay, bye.
good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
See y'all later.
I guess we all say good night.
That's how it works. All right, pulls out, Scott.